For CBS MarketWatch in New York, I'm John Friedman. Today we're joined by Miljenko Horvat of NewspaperDirect. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Tell us about your company.
NewspaperDirect provides newspapers for guests of hotels when they happen to be traveling outside of their home area on business or for leisure. So when you check into a hotel in Cancun, Mexico, or Cape Town, South Africa, you can get your Chicago Tribune, your Süddeutsche Zeitung, or your Mainichi Shimbun published on the same day that you happen to be reading it at that remote location.
How many papers do you service altogether?
Right now we have about 165 titles from all around the world, and we're growing that by about 5 to 10 newspapers every month, adding new titles to our offering of newspapers. We have coverage in about 59 countries as of today. In total, about 300 different points of presence at which we provide the newspaper.
Tell us two things. Tell us how someone like myself can order a paper in a hotel. How do you provide it for them?
When you check in, a hotel that has our service will, through one of many or a variety of options, make you aware that the service exists. So when you check in, they will ask, Mr. Friedman, would you like a copy of New York Times, Wall Street Journal, or whatever the newspaper you might prefer? Also, you will have...
If I say yes, what happens then?
Well, if you say yes, they make a notation in your reservation record, which then is automatically passed on to our printer. A printer that operates our service sits somewhere in the back and waits for that newspaper to actually be published in its own home market. When the New York Times goes to print, it gets downloaded to Cape Town, South Africa, or Amman, Jordan, printed automatically, unattended, and then they deliver it to you with your breakfast the next morning.
So it's pretty real time, basically.
Yes. Our newspapers are available on our network, on participating properties in our network, before they're available at a newsstand in their home market.
So you make money, your company makes money just by these sales or elsewhere as well?
My company makes money on selling the newspapers to the hotels, and then the hotels sell or give them away free as amenities to their guests.
Which hotels, talking about which chains?
We have Intercontinental Hotels is actually the first hotel chain that has signed up to make brand standard availability of NewspaperDirect service. The second biggest number of individual hotels of a chain is the Four Seasons, which has a significant portion of their properties already on the service. And then we have individual hotels of most other chains, from Ritz-Carlton to the Oriental to Shangri-La and others.
Pretty upscale then, talking about.
Yes. The primary orientation at this stage is the 6,000 hotels in the 4- and 5-star category. We think that that is the most likely initial market for this type of a service.
How much do you charge per paper?
The papers usually cost, when the hotel charges the guest, $3.
It's not bad. And
that is equivalent to what a newspaper costs when, let's say, El País is flown to New York and available at a newsstand at the airport.
And it's probably after the fact, too. It's 2 days late, 3 days late also.
Correct, yeah. Most of the time they come day B or day C, as they say in the distribution business.
And those papers are with the New York Times, I would imagine, the little
New York
ST?
The most popular 5 titles at the moment are International Herald Tribune, USA Today, The Times of London, Wall Street Journal, and New York Times is getting up there. And then the German papers tend to split the market between them. There's not one leading, but Süddeutsche Zeitung will have some, and Frankfurter Allgemeine will have others.
What's the most remote location you have the service available in, just for example?
Cruise ships get to be pretty remote. We have service installed on 9 cruise ships. All of Norwegian cruise lines are going to have, or pretty much all of them already have, our service, and other cruise lines are rolling it out. Holland America has 3 ships, so that gets pretty remote. Other than that, we're printing newspapers in Kathmandu, Nepal. We're printing in remote areas of Russia. We're working with the Russian Post, and people send us emails thanking for being able to read the LA Times in Ryazan, which is in central Russia. So those are some of the more remote locations where we have printed newspapers.
Now, would a war with Iraq affect you very much?
What we have seen with 9/11 is that the way it affected us in the first few days was that people read more newspapers. So there was a definite spike in demand for newspapers. And then after that, everything depends on the levels of travel. If people travel less, it would probably affect us to some degree, but we are still addressing a very small subsegment of traveling population, so probably not in a significant way.
And how long is your business? Give us an idea of your business.
We started the business in 1999. We started the commercial operation in the year 2000, so we've been around for about 4 years now.
It's a great idea for a company. How did you find the idea in the first place?
We are motivated. We were myself and my co-founders were motivated primarily by our desire to read newspapers ourselves. We're fervent newspaper readers. We travel a lot, and we said, well, why can't we get newspapers where we happen to be at any given point in time? And then we looked into the possibility of doing this technologically and found out that it actually can be done.
What's your plan for the future? You probably want to expand beyond hotels, right?
Correct. We serve the traveling public by printing in hotels, airport lounges. We are about to start our first airline, Qatar Airways, next week, in fact, serving newspapers to the business and first-class passengers who will find their preferred newspaper in their seat as they board the plane. Further, we serve expatriate customers, diplomats. So a Japanese embassy in Moscow, for example, or the U.S. ambassador in Moscow are both our customers, getting Mainichi Shimbun and U.S. newspapers, respectively.
Now, is there a website people can find your operation on?
At www.newspaperdirect.com, you can go and see all the areas of coverage that we have. You can find all the available titles, whether your favorite newspaper happens to be available, and also about our future plans, where we will be available shortly.
That's great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And for CBS MarketWatch in New York, I'm John Friedman.